I am going to go try to lay down and sleep again because I'm tired and I need to sleep. Sooner or later, I will lay down and get some sleep. I think the problem is, sooner or later, I will lay down and the FBI or the police won't knock on the door and wake me up. That's a bigger issue. Sooner or later, they'll just catch my uncles, and I'll never have to see the police or the FBI again. And if you didn't know, right now, half my relatives are in Washington, causing issues. So the police and FBI keep showing up because, do you know anything? No, I don't know anything. I didn't know anything yesterday. I'm not going to know anything tomorrow, unlikely. Other than all those texts that, where is my phone? Which is actually Ben's phone. Ah, it's over there. What's over there? I mean, if the FBI wants to sit down and read all the text, there's more than 400 of them. Why are they sending me text? Get the every 15-minute update on what's happening. Who's shooting at who now? I don't care. Can't they get that through their heads? I don't care. They seem to have a problem with not accepting anything, while at the same time believing the wildest things. You know, someday I should go up to Dave and Lucy's compound and videotape it so you can see what they live in. It's a bunch of trailers from trailer parks that have been sliced in half and set side by side, so there's no wall, but they're not attached and you can walk right down through them. David lives on one side, Lucy lives on the other side. Outside of that, big oil barrels, rusted, the ends cut off. The kids live in that. Every kid has their own oil barrel with a sleeping bag in it. And there's more than 400 people living in those barrels. There's more than 400 barrels. Every barrel at the top of it has 2 black chickens nailed in an X. The so-called house that Dave and Lucy live in has hundreds of cats strung up like Christmas lights on a string all the way around the building. And in order to get up in there, you drive several miles on a dirt road up into the forest, and the road just gets smaller and smaller, and it reaches a point where there is no more road. You get out of your car and you hike for another 2 miles. They are so deep in the forest. That is Heaven's Gate compound. When people hear that uncles with Gatling guns are on their way down to Washington, D.C. to kill Nancy, whatever her name is, I don't know what her last name is. Or they're like, what kind of people are they would do that? Oh, they're the type of people who live in oil barrels. With chickens nailed to the top. It's not like they're poor. I mean, that's not an issue. This is the uncle who pays several streamers on Twitch $500 a month to do the deserve to be raped rights. Money's not an issue with them. They're not poor. Alright. Have you ever seen the ATM? What do they call them? They go from Nova Scotia all the way down to Florida. Every single summer, they hit every single damn ATM at every single bank, all the way down the coast. And they stand in front of the camera, the security camera, and they wave at the security camera while they're breaking open the ATM. And then they take the money out, and they wave the money at the security camera. That's them. That's my Uncle David, my Aunt Lucy. Their 15 kids, their 37 grandkids from those 15 kids, and their 400 great-grandkids from them. The police have thousands, every single state down the East Coast. The police have thousands of video footage of these people waving at security cameras while they rob banks. That's why they have no lack of money. And they can't catch them because why? America and its lovely red tape. They don't have social security numbers. They don't have driver's license. They don't have birth certificates. They don't exist. Yeah, there they are. And the police like, well, there's no paperwork. We can't do anything. There's no paperwork. We can't arrest them. There's no paperwork. Hey, guess what? They're also illegal aliens. They don't even have American citizenship. Why would you think they had paperwork? You know, when people see the guns and they're like, oh my God, how many, what, how? Yeah. Why do they have the guns? Oh, I don't know. Something about the Trump of Jubilee, which is a verse that comes from the Bible. Armageddon and World War III and the gay apocalypse, whatever the hell that is. Have you ever heard of that? The gay apocalypse? That is so damn ridiculous. That's more ridiculous than the Heaven's Gate thing. They believe that all the gay people on the planet are secretly aliens. Again, aliens. They've got aliens on the brain. They believe all the gay people on the planet are secretly aliens. And they're a race of aliens that are against the shape-shifting reptilians that President Trump is. Again, do they not realize how insane they sound when they say these things? Do they listen to themselves? A race of aliens doing battle against another race of aliens. And so they have to hoard up guns because sooner or later the Trump is going to sound and all these people are going to have to gather together with God King Trump against the gay people and kill them all. Because the gay people are secretly plotting to kill all of God King Trump's people. And like, why do you keep calling him God King Trump? His name is, it's President Trump, not God King Trump. What? They're insane! Which is kind of obvious. They're living in oil barrels. Hundreds of oil barrels lined up, each one with a sleeping bag in it. The new Heaven's Gate is more insane than the original Heaven's Gate. Applewhite's Heaven's Gate and Hellbop and all that. They revived it. Why didn't they just let it die? Most insane religion out there. And they all killed themselves. So now it doesn't exist. But then these people come along and hey, that sounds like a good religion. Let's revive it. And make it even crazier. How do people believe in Heaven's Gate? I don't understand it. Star Wars and Star Trek are more believable as real than Heaven's Gate aliens are. I just completely cannot figure out, how does somebody believe something like that? And believe it to these extremes? They're mass hoarding thousands of guns. Because they believe gay people are mass hoarding who knows what. And that's another thing, the coronavirus. Again, gay people in their minds are causing it. And I'm like, what? What? How? It's so crazy. Coronavirus is not new. Coronavirus has been around. Was it discovered in the 1700s or something? It's just it mutated and now there's a new strain of it. But they claim gay people invented it. And these are Biden's people, according to them. Biden is the leader of this alternate alien race. Trump is the leader of this alien race over here. Biden's the leader of this alternate alien race over here. There are so many twists and turns in there. These aliens are doing this and these aliens are doing that. I can't even keep up with it. How do you keep track of all these aliens doing all these things? What are you talking about? It's so insane. And then these are the people. You saw him. One of them is down there. He's got this pulpit thing and he's waving it around and he got arrested. Most of them did not get arrested. So now they're back down there. It's one of those things where I hear them saying this stuff and I'm like, do you really believe this? And it's, how do you believe this? And you want to think it's gotta be a joke. They can't really believe it. But they do, they really believe it. The issue is not that they believe it. The issue is that they believe it so much. They think that makes it okay to kill people. That's the part that has me right now not able to sleep. I don't understand conspiracy theorists. I've met so many conspiracy theorists in my time, and I'm like, every time I meet one, I just, how do these people believe these things? There was this woman. You've seen her in some of my vlogs. She was my next door neighbor for 8 or 9 months. She moved, and I don't know where she went. She had this thing. Where we live, the Portland Jetport is over here. And then the Biddeford Airport is over here, like 14 miles away. And then about 30 more miles from there is the Bangor Airport. So there's 3 airports. And there used to be another one. The other one shut down, which was also right nearby. And where we live is like, it's like in the middle of it. So you see planes all the time, constantly. We're like right in the path of planes. You look up and there's always going to be a plane going by. There's always going to be a big plane to either the Portland Jetport or mid-sized plane to the Bangor Airport, or small little single pilot plane, single passenger planes to the Biddeford one. We're right in a hub where there are 3 airports, and we're like in the middle of it where we live. So you see airplanes. And also where the Biddeford Airport is, about 3 miles away from that, President George Bush lives, or lived. He died, didn't he? Did he die? Did he die? Yeah, he died. But anyways, President George Bush lives there. George and Barbara Bush, the older ones. She died too, right? Can't remember who lives there now. It's not younger George Bush. Younger George Bush lives, was it George Walker Bush? He lives in Texas or something. Did he have a daughter that lives there now? I can't remember. Somebody else lives there now. Somebody else in their family lives there now. So because of that, you would also see these big military planes come through. Because, you know, former president lives there. And I was out in the yard. I was working on the car. And I was streaming it. So it was one of the ones that you guys saw. I had the camera set up on the roof of the car, and it was like aimed down because I was sitting on the ground beside the car. And I was working on the fender, so the camera was like angled down. And planes were going by, like, you know, they always do. And planes go by every few minutes. We're right in the hub of where there's a lot of planes. And she comes out. She sees me out there, and she comes out. She starts talking. A plane goes by. And she starts running. She runs off. And my immediate response is, you know, got something on the stove or something, had to run back in the house, you know. That was just where my mind went. And then she comes back like, she goes back in, and then she comes back out. She's right next door, and she comes back out, and she starts asking, are they gone? Who's gone? There's nobody here. She says, President Obama, is he gone? I was like, what? Did I miss something? What? President Obama, is he gone? I didn't know he was here. What are you talking about? Oh, it was so funny. And she starts asking. She says, the plane that just went by. She said, that was President Obama, you know. And I was like, you mean President Bush? Because this was like maybe 7 years ago. And Bush was still alive at the time. So it wouldn't have been uncommon to see his plane. I mean, we have met him in the stores because he's just a local guy. We go shopping for groceries and, hey, look, there's a line of Secret Service. What, President Bush is over there somewhere. Oh, because they had to go through Secret Service checkpoints everywhere. If he went anywhere, we happened to be around. And that was just what life in Maine was like when President Bush was here. And so at first, my initial is, now I'm thinking, oh, she's got it mixed up. She means President Bush. Because he lives 2 miles over there from where we were standing at that point. I mean, he's just around the corner. No, she meant President Obama. A few minutes later, another plane goes by. Because again, 3 airports very close together, and we're in between them, so there's always planes going by. This is just a daily thing. Planes constantly. We're right in the track of these planes that are going by. And she runs off again. Goes back in the house. I didn't know her well. This is when I first met her. I didn't know her that long. Because she moved right after that. She moved in as she was old. I don't think she was even there a full year, and then she moved somewhere else. Oh, she was a nice woman, but she had some weird conspiracy theories. So then she comes back out again. And she's looking around for more planes, and she says, he keeps but that was a different plane. The first plane she ran away from was a big, like a jetliner type. One of those ones probably had 100 passengers on it. And then this other one was a smaller plane, obviously going to the Portland, Biddeford Airport, because it was a little smaller plane, probably 3 or 4 passengers. She said, he keeps going by. It was obviously 2 different planes, but she's telling me that this is the same plane. Well, then a helicopter comes by, because again, this is a busy air traffic area. You're going to see them all day long. A helicopter goes by, and she does it again. She runs back inside. When it leaves, she comes back out. And she says, I can't get anything done. Obama won't stop circling my house. Okay, this is 3 different planes now. One of them wasn't even a plane. One of them was a helicopter. But she's saying they're all the same one. She keeps going on, and finally, she gets to a point where she tells me. She says, do you know? She said, it's all the fluoride. And I'm like, what? We went from Obama circling your house in a plane to fluoride. What? Where did the conversation? She says, Obama is up there circling my house, dumping fluoride on my house so it gets in my water. She said, the fluoride is full of microchips, and my teeth are full of microchips. And Obama is circling. I'm like, I've heard some strange conspiracy theories. This is one of the craziest ones. I've never heard this before. She was fully convinced that every time a plane went by, it was President Obama with like a crop dusting plane dumping fluoride on her house to put microchips in her teeth. How did people come up with these things? I don't know. It's the conspiracy theorists, they're so... If the conspiracies were logical, but they're so like that. And like my uncles with Heaven's Gate, they're so out there. But she did this every day. She tried to go walk her dog. She couldn't walk her dog. Every time a plane went by, she'd run back in the house. And I said, she is really terrified that President Obama is circling her house and crop dusting her house with fluoride to put microchips in her teeth. And I said, how did she come up with that? There was one day, there were several dead birds out on the sidewalk. It looked like probably a cat had found birds in bushes, and it was, young birds that couldn't fly yet, so it just killed all of them and chewed them half up and left them here in the sidewalk. It was like 4 or 5 dead birds all just scattered around in a few feet. It looked like a cat had found a nest of young birds and ate half of them. As she comes out that day and she sees that, and she went nuts. She just had a total, complete meltdown. And that day she called the police about it. And the police came over. And she's telling them the same thing she had talked about before, where President Obama is circling her house with these crop dusting planes and putting fluoride on her house to put microchips in her teeth. And, well, now she's added to it. These birds were sitting here on the wire coming to the house, and this fluoride came down and killed the birds, and they exploded, and now they're down here dead. It's pretty obvious a cat or a raccoon or something got a nest of young birds and killed them. It's fairly obvious. What? How is fluoride coming down out of the sky and killing birds? How did she think this? I used to think my uncles were just weird. I mean, they are weird, but I used to think they were just weird. And nobody else was like that. But then Dickie, Major Richard Merlin Atwater, I was out in my yard one day. And this guy, pickup truck, drives up in my yard. And he gets out and he starts just roaming around he's got a little thing, and he's going beep, 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 beep. And he sees me and he comes over. Oh, you're okay, you're here to us, Fred. What? Okay, now this was 30 years ago. Nobody knew me as Eel Cat. And nobody knew it. The only person who's ever called me Eel Cat was my grandmother, and she's been dead for years. Nobody calls me that. I mean, I wasn't on the internet yet. This is back in the 90s. I joined the internet in late 1996. It was just before 1997. It was like December 1996 when I joined the internet. This is before then. I have no clue who this guy was. And he's all excited. I was like, how do you know anything? How do you know me as Eelcat? And what do you know about Etwall? He brings out books. He's got his truck is packed full of books. Brings out a book. Brings out another book. Brings out another book. Brings out a book by Buddy Hopkins. Brings out a book by David Mack. He's bringing out all these books. And I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? He's got magazine articles. He's got all this stuff in his truck. He's got like a filing cabinet full of stuff. Magazines. Newspapers. Hundreds of them. And this is the first time I found out about this. I had no clue that this had happened. Here's a book about you. Here's a book about Etwall. Here's another book about you. Here's a book about you and Etwall. Here's a book about Etwall. Here's a book about you. Here's an article about you. Here's my uncles had contacted MUFON and all these other groups and done these weird interviews of, hey, so did you know I've got this niece who is an alien abductee? I didn't even know what alien abductee was. I'd never heard of it before. I've got this niece who's an alien abductee, blah, 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 blah. Well, anybody who actually knows anything about Etwall, he's a homeless man who I give food to because we're in the middle of nowhere and he's literally out there picking things off of trees to eat. It's a concentration camp survivor. Nazi concentration camp in France. In 1953, a whole bunch of refugees who survived concentration camps were brought over here, and they came to Old Orchard Beach, and they set up a Jewish community. There's a temple, and there's a synagogue, and there's all kinds of stuff. There's this whole little Jewish community inside of Old Orchard Beach. It's like its own separate town within the town. He's from that. He is scarred up so bad, you can barely recognize him as being a person. So people think he's an alien, and he wasn't able to go back to living in human society. He just could not, because people didn't accept him as human. He ran out in the woods, Kim Harmon. He was also starving to death out there, so I started leaving him food. And my uncles, these same uncles who believe in Heaven's Gate, and all they can think about is aliens, they went around, and I didn't know they had done it, and they had been doing it for a full decade before I even found out about it. They were going to all these news stations and news reporters, and they contacted Buddy Hopkins. Buddy Hopkins wrote a book about me. They contacted all these people and did all these interviews with these people about, yeah, I've got this niece she's an alien abductee, and she's got this alien Etwall, and he's an amphibious alien, and that's where the whole amphibious alien thing got started. And this guy is showing me this stuff, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, Etwall's not an alien. He's a homeless guy he's disfigured really bad. But he's not an alien. And he showed me these articles. He said, well, your uncle says you said this, and I never said that. But this uncle said, and he had all these articles which were written by Richard Merlin Atwater, David Atwater, Lucille Atwater. You recognizing these names? Mervyn Bruce Atwater wrote a lot of them. I had no idea they were doing this. And I went through hell for years contacting all of these people. The magazines, the newspapers, the news reporters, the authors. I contacted all of these people. I traced down all of these people that had written these things and contacted them and told them, my uncles are lying to you. This is not real. This is a hoax. Etwall is not an alien. He's a little homeless guy who was He's a Nazi concentration camp survivor. He's disfigured really bad because of how badly he was tortured. He's not an alien. I'm constantly got MUFON people coming up in my yard, even to this day. Still do. They've got their little alien devices that beep because, oh, well, there's this amount of radiation over here, and there's this amount of radiation over here, and that amount of radiation over here, and we take that all together, and that means aliens landed here. And I'm like, if aliens landed in my yard, wouldn't I know it? Oh yeah, look, there's this little hole over here. So that means a spaceship landed here. No, that little hole over there, that's called, I have a crowbar and I put a hole in it there because I'm getting ready to plant a rose bush there. I made that hole 5 minutes ago. I'm getting ready to plant a rose bush. And no, that's just what they want you to think. Aliens landed here, and that's their little probe from their UFO. I've got the crowbar in my hand. I just made the hole. That's how I ended up meeting all these weird conspiracy theorists, because my uncles wrote all those articles about me and Etoile. I went through hell getting all that stuff unpublished. Same uncles who are, now down in Washington, D.C., chanting about God King Trump and how they want to kill whatever her name is down there. Same uncles. Heaven's Gate, amphibious aliens, Boston Marathon bomb. Has anybody noticed yet that they're insane? Insane. Well, it's like I said, I used to think it was just them. And then these MUFON people started showing up. There's so many people who believe that stuff with them. And then there was this whole weird cultish thing that showed up on the internet about amphibious aliens. And they started following me on the internet everywhere I went. That's why if you mention UFOs or aliens on my Twitch, I ban you immediately. Nightbot bans you. UFOs, aliens, those words are banned. You mention them, you're permanently banned from my channel. Automatically, Nightbot will just, you're gone. I've spent half my life trying to get away from these people that my uncle sicked on me. I'm not even the one that did this stuff to the worst. My brothers can barely get their jobs done at work. So many people from my uncles keep showing up at their workplaces and bugging them. It's insane. They've got it stuck in their minds that everybody in the family has to stay in the family. And stay in the family means, here's our barbed wire fence, and here's your assigned rusty oil barrel with a sleeping bag in it, and you're supposed to live there. with the rest of us all fenced in this barbed wire fence, Palmyra, Maine. That's hostages. That's not family. And then they do this whole, well, we're gypsies, and this is the way gypsies... No. This isn't... Don't use that excuse. Anybody that pulls a race card and says, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm this race or that race, and I'm stuck in it, I can't change my ways. My genes, because of my race, means I must commit these crimes. No, being a gypsy does not mean you must commit crimes. It does not. That's a cop-out. Brucey was the worst one with that. They used to get together, break into people's houses. He'd have the little kids, the really little ones, the toddlers. He'd find some random lost cat sign or lost dog sign somewhere on some telephone pole. Just take it down, hand it to the kid. They dressed these little girls, 4 and 5 years old, like they were prostitutes. Plaster them with makeup, put fishnets on them, booty shorts, push-up bras. They're 4 years old and they're putting push-up bras on them. It's ridiculous. Hand them this little thing. Yeah. This is our lost pet. Then they'd make the kid go up to some house. Kid would knock on the door, and as soon as somebody opened the door, starts bawling her eyes out. Oh, boo! My cat is lost, boo! Hey, look at my boob! Shake my boob! Shake my boob! Shake my boob! Boo! My cat is lost! Boom! 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 Cat is lost! And people be like, oh, what is this? Well, while the people are trying to calm this kid down that is trying as hard as she can to be a prostitute while crying about a cat that's not even hers, the rest of the group is going in the back window. Scott would go in and, hey, here's a TV. I'll hand that out to Bruce. Ooh, here's a nice boombox. Let's hand that out. Oh, look at all this jewelry. We'll hand this out. By the time they get the kid calmed down and quiet, everything has been cleaned out of their house. Kid finally leaves because now she's gotten the signal that, hey, we're done, we're gone, we're leaving. He used to try to dump the stuff in my yard. Piles of garbage in my yard because, well, we stole it. We can't put it at our place. Well, what the hell are you doing putting it in my place? Realize how many hundreds of times I've had to call the police because somebody's dumped a bunch of stolen stuff in my yard. I think it's stolen. There's a bunch of stuff in my yard again. Take it away. He'd laugh about it. Bruce. Bruce. Who is the cause of all of this problem that's going down in Washington, D.C. right now because he died. He died from COVID-19, and the whole clan has gone insane. They don't know what to do. Our king is dead. The king of the gypsies is dead. Oh, we must go kill somebody to make up for it. Can you try being normal for once? I mean, there's a reason we stay away from David and Lucy's clan and Brucey's clan because they're crazy. And they blame everything. No matter what they do, they always blame it on being gypsies. Everything. I asked Brucey once, why are you stealing all this stuff? It's wrong. You know it's wrong. You're a Mormon. You go to church all the time. You know this is wrong. Why are you doing it? His answer was, well, I'm a gypsy. People think we're gypsies are going to do this, so we might as well keep them satisfied. The Americans think gypsies are thieves, so we're going to be thieves. What? The Americans think gypsies are thieves because of people like you who are going around thieving and giving other gypsies a bad name. If people like you would stop thieving, the rest of us wouldn't be getting a bad name because people like you were jackasses. You blame that on culture. That's not being a gypsy. That's you just being an idiot. Cop out of, I can't help it, I'm a gypsy. Yes, you can help it. Willpower, it's what you need. He had so many people who don't know what to do now that he's dead, though, and that's a major problem. That's why we're dealing with police and FBI right now, because his clan doesn't know what to do. They know how to be sheep. They know how to follow the leader. And the leader's dead, and they don't know what to do. So they're running around crazy. And David's like, well, I'm going to Washington, D.C. So they all went down with him. And you saw what happened. I woke up the next morning. I had no clue they had gone down there. I woke up the next morning. I had tons of people everywhere sending me videos of, is this your uncle? Is this your aunt? Is this another of your uncles? Is this one of your aunts? Is this one of your cousins? And I'm just looking at this video footage that is everywhere. Oh my God, what the hell are they doing? They're climbing up the scaffolding of the White House. They're breaking out the windows. They're running by with the statue. What are they doing? Yes, I know who those people are. They're my relatives. What the hell are they doing? Why are they down there and why are they doing it? Why are they on every fucking news station in the entire planet? What the hell is wrong with them? And then they come back here. Oh, we're gypsies. We can get away with it. We're gypsies. Great. Give gypsies a bad name even more. And then people, why do you want anything to do with your family? Oh, I don't know. Maybe turn on the news. Let me think. 39 people dead at Heaven's Gate. How many people died at the Boston Marathon? January 6th, 2021, Washington, D.C. You seeing enough evidence why I don't want anything to do with them? Why do I have such a past like that in my family? But the worst part of it is, I haven't had contact with these people for 30 years. And the police and FBI don't know where else to go. They don't know what else to do. Because their hands are tied, because, you know, red tape, and we need paperwork, and they don't have birth certificates. They don't exist on paper. Well, while you're telling me that they don't exist on paper and your hands are tied and you don't know what to do, they're down there setting fire to these buildings. So why don't you just arrest them? But we can't arrest them. Paperwork. Come on, paperwork. So you're just going to let them continue to throw Molotov cocktails in the Capitol because they're illegal aliens and they don't have paperwork. Is that what you're telling me? You can't arrest them because they don't have social security numbers? Is the American government system really that messed up? I'd like to arrest them, you know, but they don't have birth certificates. We can't prove they were ever born. Well, I don't know. When somebody's standing there throwing a Molotov cocktail through a window, weren't they born at some point? I mean, they're standing there. Can you just put handcuffs on? Why do you have to look for a birth certificate first? It's so damn ridiculous. And that's the reason Paul Martel was arrested for building the bomb for the Boston Marathon. He had a social security number. He had birth certificates. He went and got all that stuff done. So they could arrest him. Oh boy, there's a gypsy that actually has paperwork. We can arrest that one. What about all the rest of them? Well, oh, they don't have paperwork. We can arrest him. You know, that whole fact that the police won't arrest them because they don't have paperwork, because, you know, no birth certificates, and because they were born up in the mountain in the middle of nowhere where there is no hospital. That is only promoting them to go out of their way to not have social security numbers, to not give birth certificates. They're going to continue to do that because they're, oh, we can evade the law. The law requires paperwork. If we don't have paperwork, they're going to continue to not arrest us. So that's why they're continuing to do it. Don't the police know that? Is it that hard to figure out that the whole reason they don't have paperwork is because the law says they can't be arrested if they don't have paperwork? I'm still tired. I still need to go to bed, but I'm still stressed out so damn bad. And it's nice that the police and the FBI are finally trying to stop them. But what good's coming up here and talking to me gonna do? They live up in fucking Palmyra. Do you know how far away that is? It's a 5-hour drive. I mean, Maine's a pretty big state. Land-wise, Maine is one of the biggest states. Population-wise, it's one of the smallest states. There's hardly any people up here. I think Alaska has more people than we do. You can drive 100 miles between sea and a house. And they're 5 miles away. And Stephen King probably knows more than I do. Because guess who lives next door to them? Do you know why they live next door to Stephen King? That is the most ridiculous damn thing I've ever heard. Thinner, if you don't know, was filmed in my yard illegally. Stephen King did not have permits or licenses or permission. They did not ask before they arrived. We spent 5 hours chasing him out. At the time, David and Lucy were in Wyoming. They showed up in my yard about a week later. Set up all these tents. I was gone. I think I was out getting groceries. I come back home. I mean, I'm only gone a few hours. Come back home. If I was even gone that long. Tents all over my yard. Not the same time when I had tents all over my yard and they were there for 9 months and the fire department came and took them out. Different time. They've done this more than once. All these tents are sent up in my yard. And there's all these people in my yard. I have no clue who they are. Just this massive horde of squatters. I try to tell them to leave. And then David comes strolling out. Oh, it's David. Great. David comes strolling out of one of the tents. We're up here for the movie shoot. What movie shoot? Oh yeah, Stephen King's supposed to be coming. Well, now we know why Stephen King showed up in my yard. David told him it was okay. Except David didn't live here. He lived in Wyoming. They were in a rage when they found out they missed Stephen King's film crew. And the other thing is, I had never heard of Stephen King. I had no clue who this guy was. And everybody's like, oh, Stephen King is so famous. Oh my God, Stephen King. He's a trespasser to be chased out with a shotgun. That's what he was in my mind. I had no clue who he was. Never heard of him. At the time, I didn't even have electricity. Didn't have a phone. Didn't have TV. Still don't have a TV. Had never heard of this guy. And then people come up after. Now, I'm still getting it all the time. Thinner, what do you think of it? Oh no, I've never seen it. But you're in it! Am I? You didn't have permission to put me in it. But your house and your car, and they filmed it in your yard. Yeah, you know the hell I had to go through to get them out of my yard? No, I've never seen the Stephen King Thinner movie or Christine or any of them. People are constantly asking about that. Oh my God, there's your cat. There's the real cat. There's the real Christine. What do you think of the movie? Oh no, I've never seen it. I don't know what it's about. But David, he knew all about it. It became pretty obvious once David showed up that they had contacted Stephen King and told him to come. And somehow dates were off, and they expected to be in my yard and be in the movie. But Stephen King had already been there and gone. And so they missed it, and they didn't get in the movie, and they were pissed. Right up behind Stephen King's house. If you can find Stephen King's house, you can find the compound. Right up behind Stephen King's house, there is a dirt road that goes up into the forest. That dirt road is where they live. They decided, because Stephen King didn't wait around, because I chased him out of my yard. They were there illegally. Stephen King didn't wait around for them to arrive and be in the movie, that they were going to live next door to Stephen King. And Maine has a squatter's rights law. If you can stake out a property, even somebody's house, if you can stake out a property and armed guard it for 20 years and the owner not be able to get you off their land, the state of Maine will give you the land. And there are people in Maine who get free houses that way because they will put up a fence around. They'll wait for the owner to go to the store, and they'll put up a fence around the house and then sit there with machine guns. And you try to get back into your house, they won't let you. And they'll stay there for 20 years, and the state will award them your house. It happens all the time. It's a ridiculous law, but it happens all the time, and that's what they did. That's how they got this land. They staked out this land that borders Stephen King's land. They sat there for 20 years. The state gave it to them. They've been there, 27 years now? They own it now. The state of Maine gave it to them. Put up barbed wire fences and kept the actual owners out. That's theft on a huge scale. How is that even allowed? I don't know. Look it up. It's the squatter's right law in Maine. But that's why they live there, up there with Stephen King. They're mad that they missed out being in a movie that was being filmed in my yard. That somehow they knew the movie was being filmed in my yard when I didn't know it. Have you ever seen my mail? I'm constantly getting this weird mail. They make up these fake names, and then they'll send it to my address, and then pick it up out of my mailbox. I've had to go to the post office so many times because it's mail fraud and you're not allowed to do that. Oh, I've had to go to the post office so many times and tell them, this isn't me. I didn't order this stuff. It looks like they're trying to ship drugs to my mailbox so that they can take them out of my mailbox. Here, this was in my mailbox. Take it. I don't want it. That time, that one we got on video because I was live streaming at the time. And I'm getting ready. I go out, and there's this woman there. I've never seen her before. I have no clue who she is. Red-haired woman. She has the mailbox open and her hand in the mailbox. My mailbox. And I'm standing there watching to see what is she doing. And she looks up and she sees me. And all of a sudden she's just, I wasn't stealing your mail, and runs off. You obviously was stealing my mail. It was pretty obvious. You had your arm all the way in the mailbox. But I didn't say anything, nothing. I was just standing there watching her, see what is she doing. And she looked, I wasn't stealing your mail. She runs away. It's like a sign in my yard. There's a sign in my yard. I knew who did it. I was fully aware who did it, but I just put this sign in my yard, and it said, trespassers and a curse on all trespassers and vandals. That's all it says. It's the sign in my yard. It says a curse on all trespassers and vandals. Well, the sign went up the day after somebody had trespassed and vandalized in my yard. I'd seen him do it, and the police knew. I told the police, and some neighbors had seen him. So the police had enough evidence to know that this, yeah, we know who did it. I'm going to work one day. This was when I was still working at RGIS, Regis, and Hallmark, both at the same time. And I had a shift one after the other, shift at one place and a shift at the other. And you had this little, there's like a scanner thing, because you're taking inventory, so you have this little machine, and you have to scan everything. It's an inventory taking job, so you scan everything in the store. Well, the machine is coded to your account and everything, and you type everything in, you know. You log in, and then it's got a barcode. You scan the barcode when you... Every store has a barcode at the service desk. You go to service desk, you scan the barcode, and then you go in and scan the items and stuff, and that's how it's set up. So you have to have this machine. There's no way you can do your job without this machine. Well, I forgot it. It was sitting on the table, and I got out in the car, and I'm halfway to work, so I'm going to end up almost an hour late to work, because now I have to drive all the way back, because I realize I don't have the machine. There's nothing I can do. I can't even log in. So I got to turn around and go back. Drive all the way back. So normally I wouldn't have been home at this time. Normally I would have been at work. This is just the same week the yard had been vandalized, and I put this sign up. The sign's only been up like 2 days at this point. The sign's still up. It's still there in my yard. I didn't take it down. I drive in my yard. There's a white Jeep. Not the little like military Jeep, but the bigger type. That's a Jeep Cherokee, is that what it's called? The white Jeep sitting in my yard anyways. And I drive in behind this thing, and I get out. There is a guy standing at the motorhome. Well, because of what had happened a few days before, the lock had been broken off the door to the motorhome and I hadn't fixed it yet. So what I had put on to fix it was a padlock until I could get a locksmith to fix the regular lock. So there's a padlock on the door. He's got both hands on the padlock and he's pull it, and 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 I'm standing here watching this guy. And then he turns around and he notices I'm there and he stops and he jumps back and then he points to the sign. He said, I didn't trespass and I didn't vandalize anything. And he jumps in his Jeep and rides back out. Well, he was the guy that we knew had vandalized and trespassed. And now he was back. So the police was there again. With, the sign didn't say anything to indicate a name. It just said, a curse on all trespassers and vandals. So you admit your own guilt when you point to the sign and says, I didn't do it. The sign didn't say you did. He's the one. Oh, everybody around town knows him too. He kind of looks like the stereotypical Italian, you know, like Godfather looking Italian, like you would see in a Godfather type movie. That he has that look to him. So he gets suits. And he gets his hair greased up like he's from the 1950s. And he stomps around town. So many people. He's done this to so many people. He stomps around town. He goes around to people's doors. He knocks on the door. And he introduces himself as, I'm the Mafia. It's so ridiculous. Oh. And most people are scared of him when he does this. They're like, oh, because he might be Italian, I don't know. He looks like what you see in the movies when they show you an Italian mafia person. He looks like that. And then he dresses like that on purpose because he goes out of his way to try to look like this. So when he knocks on, he'll knock on the door and he blackmails people into giving him stuff. He's gotten people to give him their cars and stuff. And he's since gone to jail for this. But at the time, the police were having a really hard time catching him because people were scared of him. They thought he actually was the Mafia. The real Mafia isn't going to knock on your door looking like they just walked out of The Godfather, or knock on your door and say, I'm the Mafia. They're not going to do that. It's so stupid. Oh. And then he showed up at my house one day. So I'd heard of him doing this, and I'd never seen it before. And he did it to me, and I'm like, so? And he didn't know what to do. We read, so I'm the Mafia. Yeah, okay. Do you know who I am? And he's just, I'm the Mafia, and he kept saying it. I'm like, okay, tell my uncle that. He says, what do you mean? And I pointed across the street, and I said, do you know who lives across the street from me? And he turned around, and he's looking at it, and he's like, oh, yeah. You know who I am now? And a few days later, he came back. Ben was there, and he tried to do it to Ben. And Ben started yelling at him. And then I told Ben, no, just let my uncles handle it. They don't like competition. And he's like, wait, those are your uncles? Yeah, those are my uncles. They don't like competition. And all of a sudden it hit him why I wasn't scared of the fact that he was saying he was the mafia, because I knew he wasn't. Go have fun telling my uncles you're the mafia. See how long it takes you to be in the ravine somewhere. Then there's that other guy, he does a similar thing. That guy was in Old Orchard. This one's in Biddeford. He does the same thing. He's a plumber and he goes around to people's houses and he'll be working on your plumbing, and he's worked on our plumbing before, so he's good at his job. He's a good plumber. You want to hire a plumber, he's good at his job, so everybody hires him. And but while he's doing the plumbing, while he's working on your sink or whatever, he'll be just going along and, so do you know I'm a member of the mafia? No, never seen you around. And he's, oh yeah, I'm married into the mafia. Do you know how hard it is to marry into the mafia? Guarantee you didn't. And he's on and 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 on, and it's hysterical when people do this. You've seen him on a few videos too, because I have been streaming when he just showed up, and he'll just show up at random. I don't think he's mentally all there. Like, borderline mentally retarded. He's very... There's a severe mental handicap there. It's really bad. You can see that from how he acts. And so once he's worked on your plumbing, he'll later show up at your house to check up. You know, like now you're his best friend. It's kind of weird, but it's like he doesn't mentally know that you're a customer. You hired him to fix his pipe. Now you paid him. You're done. Why you here acting like I'm supposed to invite you to dinner now? There he shows up here. And he just, that's how he starts talking again. Open the door. Oh, yeah. Did you know I'm a member of the mafia? Just like he's open in line for everything. Yeah, you told me before. I married a girl that's a member of the mafia. There's no such thing as member of the mafia. So, whatever. Oh yeah, member of the mafia this and member of the mafia that, and if you know anything about the mafia, you know family over everything, family over all. Family over everything, family over all. You don't join the mafia. Family over everything, family over all. You don't become a member of the mafia. Family over everything, family over all. You don't leave family. You are born into that family, and the hell with you if you ever try to leave it. It'll make your life hell. So when somebody tells you, I'm a member of the mafia, you know immediately they're lying to you, because mafia's family, not members. It's not a club. These people are family. It's the easiest way to tell when somebody's lying to you about mafia. But why is that a thing that people do? I've never understood that. And these two guys aren't the only people I've seen do it. I've seen other people do it. So I'm like, why? I mean, why would you want to be mafia? Why? Is that actually something people strive to be? Like, they think it makes them important or something? So bizarre. That's another thing I don't ever understand about people. They do this whole, I need to be more important than everybody else. Why? I don't understand competition. I never have. And that's competition. That's somebody competing to be more important than somebody else, which, why can't you just be equal? Why does anybody have to be more important than somebody else? Why can't you just be equal? I don't know how I'm ever gonna get to sleep. I am just so, I'm so tired, but at the same time I am so stressed out with everything that's going on right now that I can't relax. It's like my nerves and my muscles are all just tense, and I can't relax them, and so I can't fall asleep even though I'm tired. I would hope that they would just go away. This family over everything thing that they do, they never treated me like family. They kept me in a cage, in a woodshed, behind the house, from the time I was 8 years old until I was 31. And they said they did that because I wasn't a human. I was a demon. A demon had come in, taken the real baby, and left me in its place, and I was a demon, and that's why they put me in that cage. And I escaped, and I left, and I haven't been near them for 30 years. And now they're mad. You don't desert family. The only way you leave this family is if you're dead. So what did they do? They put a bomb in my house and blew my house up. And I survived. Who the hell knows how? That was when I was wearing a wig for a while because it burned all my hair off. I was asleep. That's a large part of why I have issues with sleep now, where if I fall asleep, I don't sleep soundly and any sound wakes me up, because I used to sleep soundly, but 1 a.m. a bomb went off and took out half of my house and set fire to me and my clothes and burned off all my hair. Big boom! Hey, bomb went off in your house, woke you up, and now I have trouble sleeping because any single sound that I hear. Because family over everything. Family over all. Family over everything, family over all equals let's put a bomb in somebody's house? I mean, that was October 16th, 2006. I mean, why? They were mad when I went to a doctor. They don't believe in doctors? I went to a doctor. I had one appointment. And he's like, well, let's run some tests. Did some blood work. Come back and wait. So, blood work. I go back in a week. I'm stuck in traffic. Stuck in traffic, stuck in traffic, stuck in traffic. There's a mushroom cloud. Looks like Hiroshima just went up. Who knows what that was? Continue to be stuck in traffic. Get to my doctor and... oh. Well, that's what that was. Wow. Police officer Buddy Will is there. Do you have a doctor's appointment? I did. Where's the building? Yeah, bomb went off. Somebody put a bomb in the lab, and it had a chemical reaction to the chemicals in the lab, and it took out the doctor's office complex, and this hotel next door to it, and this set of condominiums next door to that. Yeah, I can see the whole block is gone. Michael David's a peach, isn't he? Yes, lovely. Oh, I went to a doctor, so they blew up the entire block. Killed the doctor, 3 of his nurses, and 21 patients. I was supposed to be there. I was stuck in traffic, or I would have been in that building. The only reason I'm alive right now is because I was stuck in traffic. That bomb went off at the time my appointment was. That was in 2003. That was 10 years before the Boston Marathon. Notice they always use grease fryers. Always grease fryers. Their bombs are always made out of grease fryers. That's what they used to blow up my house with. Grease fryer bomb. I didn't know they did the Boston Marathon. I didn't even know it had happened. That was when I met Andy Druer, the FBI agent Andy Druer. He's the one that's in charge of everything now. That was when I met him. He showed up at the house one day, and they're looking for Uncle Paul Martel, and I was like, Paul Martel? Wow, I haven't heard about him in years. Last time I heard about Paul Martel, I've never met him. I wouldn't even know what he looks like. I've never met him in person. I was like, no, I knew where he lived back in the 70s. But I think that it was a condominium complex place, and I think that whole condominium got torn down and there's like a store there now or something. They didn't say why they were looking for him. I didn't know why they were looking for him. They were just wanting to know where's Paul Martel. But do you know any relatives that would know where he is? Well, his son lives over there. Maybe he knows. I don't know. His wife lives over there, but they got separated, and technically they're still married, and he married somebody else, but I think he left her and married somebody else. I don't think he divorced any of them. Other than that, I don't know. I've never met the guy. The FBI's like, okay, alright. And they left. And then a few weeks later, his wife is in a rage. What? She just went nuts on everybody. My husband was arrested. It's all your fault. She said it to every single person in the family. I thought she was talking about Dan because, I mean, that's the guy she was with at the time. No, I'm talking about Paul Martel. I could figure out what she was talking about. She shut up and yelled at me and said, "What are you talking about?" No clue, and she left, and I yelled at my mother, and she went and yelled at Brucey, and everybody was trying to figure out, what is she talking about? And then it was on the news. Ben watches the news constantly, and he tells me, "Did you see this big FBI raid that was on the news down in Boston?" And he shows me the news. He's got the video footage. He shows me on YouTube. He shows me this video footage. And it's a news report announcing that they've finally caught the guy who built the bomb for the Boston Marathon. Not the two ISIS men who put the bomb there, but the guy who built the bomb and then sold it to them. So Ben didn't know, he doesn't know that side of the family. He doesn't know Barbara's people. Barbara's clan is a different clan. He didn't know them. So he's telling me about this. They caught this guy. He's all excited. They caught this guy. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Paul Martel. He's like, what? Do you know Paul Martel? That's my uncle. One of them. Noticed there've been no more bombs since then. The last bomb that affected anybody in my family was just before that. The bomb at Walmart. Scarborough Walmart. And it was about a week before that. Since he was arrested, he's gone to prison. He's in prison now. Can't remember how many years he got. I think it was 15. I remember when it said how many years he got, and I was like, this is the guy who built a bomb that killed a lot of people. He sold this bomb to ISIS and killed a lot of people. He didn't get very many years in prison in comparison to what he did, I didn't think, but whatever, it's the way the law is, I guess. He's still in prison now, because he only went to prison in 2016. But since then, no bombs. None. It became pretty clear It's been, well, what, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It's been 5 years without a single bomb. None of my families have had houses blown up. None of them have had workplaces blown up. None of them have had colleges blown up. None of them have had doctors blown up in 5 years. And it was happening at a rate of 3 a year for well over 10 years. I've survived 5 bombs myself. It became pretty obvious with the fact that all of a sudden he's in prison, and now everybody in my family, no more bomb threats, no more bombs happening, no more buildings blown up, no more houses blown up, no more doctors' offices blown up, no more colleges blown up, no more Walmarts blown up. It became really obvious at that point that this is the guy who built the bomb who blew up my doctor's office. It killed my doctor. This is the guy who built the bomb that blew up my house. This is the guy that built the bomb that was in Walmart and college. He's one of my uncles. All these bombs that were happening to my family, one after another, we couldn't figure out who was doing it or why, and now it's known it was one of my uncles doing it to people in his own family, because family over everything. I mean, do you see the logic in that? Family over everything, so put a bomb in their house. I mean, where is the logic in that? But since he went to prison, no more bombs, not a one. They're just done, gone. I don't understand why someone would do something like that. And you look at the people who kept having this happening. Everybody, they were all the same as me. They had left the Klan. These were all people who were born into the Klan. They didn't join it by free will. They were born into it. They wanted nothing to do with it, and as soon as they were 18 or whatever, they left. And some of them ran out when they were 10, 12 years old. I mean, some of them got out of there young. A lot of them didn't. And every single one of them who had a house blown up by a bomb, every single one of them who had a workplace blown up by a bomb, every single one of them who had a doctor that was killed by a bomb, all of them had that in common. They had left the Klan and tried to live on their own, not part of the Heaven's Gate compound. They wanted nothing to do with Heaven's Gate, and these people in Heaven's Gate, they can't believe that we worship God as an alien, and our babies grew up and didn't want to worship God as an alien with us, well, but put bombs in their houses. Why? I don't understand that. The whole thing is just, it's so insane. I mean, you start out with these people who believe this really wild God is an alien, lives on planet Kolob, he's flying in on the mothership, he's morphed with Trump, and now he's called King Trump instead of President Trump, and this other alien has come in and he's Biden, and I don't get it. I have studied so many religions because when I was in college, I kept changing my degree focus several times. So I was going for this degree, and I was like, I'd get the whole way, and I could graduate now, but I'd like to keep sewing in college, so let me change my degree, and then I would get the whole thing. So I spent a really long time in college, and just kept changing degree focus. And one of the ones I did was a world religion philosophy theology degree, and so I studied a lot of different religions. I've never seen anything like Heaven's Gate. I mean, growing up in Heaven's Gate, it was like this was normal because we had no access to knowing that there was anything like anything other than this. Or none of the kids went to school, none of the kids went to doctors. There was no electricity for most of the time. There was no radio, there was no TV. Nobody knew that anything outside the compound exists. People who were born in the compound, they had no clue that a world existed outside of the barbed wire fence. No clue at all, nothing. And then you get out of it, and you find out, oh my God, we're living in this place. It's called America. I've been out of the Klan for 30 years now, and I've still not been able to adjust to the Americans. They are, wow, are they bizarre. They're normal in comparison to them, but wow, are they bizarre. And a lot of that is, I grew up in Heaven's Gate, where aliens are God, and the president is a shapeshifter. But I never believed that. I always thought it was insane. It never made sense to me. And so I never paid attention to it. And my grandmother would give me books. She would give me, I had Treasure Island and Little House on the Prairie books. And I used to read those over and over again because that's what I had to read. And you see, whenever something happens with my uncles, especially if the police and the FBI show up, like what happened today, you notice I immediately, it's like I can't do anything, and I go into just playing the game, and I'll play the game over and over and over again, and I get stuck in it. And people have asked me, how did you get so hung up on Avalark? But this is how I got so hung up on Avalark. My whole life, it was, my uncles are being crazy, they're doing stuff again, let's read Treasure Island again. Oh, they're doing something again, let's read Treasure Island again. And because there wasn't anything else, there was nothing else. You had the option, the Bible, the Book of Mormon, or Treasure Island. I mean, that's the book that was there. And I had already read the Bible 31 times at that point, and it was like, okay, I know the Bible inside out, let's read something else. Here's Treasure Island. My grandmother gave me Treasure Island, so I started reading Treasure Island over and over and over again. It developed into a cycle of whenever my uncles flipped out and did something, which was constantly, and they ran the Klan, and nobody could do anything. It's like they were the government in their minds. They controlled everyone. The women had no freedom. The children had no freedom. It was these men who crowned themselves God over this little group that they had hoarded up in their fence with the barbed wire, and nobody could get out, and most of them didn't want to get out. But the children who were born into it, which I was one of them, weren't necessarily, it was like, with children, we would like to play with toys, and oh, it was so rare that you ever went outside the compound, and we went outside the compound once. I was, I think, 6 years old, and we went to Zayre's. It was a store in Saco. It's not there anymore. It got shut down. It went out of business. I don't think it was a franchise, was it? May have been. It was like this little store. It was just a base. It was like Walmart, only tiny. You know, they had groceries counter over here, and they had toys over here, and they had fabric over here, and hardware over here. But it was tiny. It was all in this one little small thing. So it wasn't like aisle after aisle after aisle. It was like, here's an aisle, and it's got 4 dolls and 4 trucks, and that's the toy department. It was tiny. And we had gone in there, and when the Klan went anywhere, back at that point, everybody was still wearing prairie dresses. They've stopped doing that. They don't do it anymore. But everybody was wearing prairie dresses. So people used to think we were Amish. all the women had these long dresses, looked like they just walked out of the 1800s, had the sunbonnets covering their faces. The men all wore very Amish looking stuff, and they all had their big beards and their hats, and people thought we were Amish. We weren't. Plus, horse-drawn buggies. Again, people thought we were Amish because we didn't have cars. We had horse-drawn buggies back then. It was a long time ago. And it was back 1970s when this happened. And I was maybe 6 years old at the time we went to this store. And all the men go in and do the shopping, and the women huddle up by the door. You go in, and you huddle up by the door around the kids, and it's like, what did they call those? Like wagon trains, where they put the wagons in a circle together, and everybody stayed in the middle of it for Indian attacks, like you see in the Old West movies. That type of a thing is what the situation was. All the women gather in a circle somewhere near the service desk, and all the kids stay in the middle of it, and everybody looks down because, oh, hell to pay if you dare make eye contact with strangers, and you are going to get beaten in the face with a brick. Men were vicious. I don't think people realize what living in a gypsy clan is like either. And the men control stuff so much. Women have no freedom at all. Children have no freedom at all. They are literally slaves to the men, and that is their only purpose. And it was worse in the 70s. I mean, it's a lot better now. A lot of gypsy clans are getting out of that. But in the 70s, that nobody even thought anything of trying to, men controlled everything and we don't dare to do anything. And they considered me a rebel, and that's why they considered me a demon. When they called me a demon, they claimed that a demon had come and taken the actual baby and replaced it with me, and that was why I acted like I did. I got away from the group. There was toys. There was a shelf of toys. I'm like 6 years old, and there was this, and I went over to look at these dolls. It was Barbie dolls. And I remember there was this Barbie doll, and she had the pink dress on, and I have it. I have this doll now. But there was this doll. And the men were just, doing their thing, and I picked up this doll, and I went over, can we get this? They went nuts. They took the doll and threw that across the store, and then they grabbed these things that were on the shelf and started hitting me in the face with it. Just cans of food, hitting me in the face with it. They acted like they were going to kill me, and people thought they were. It caused a big scene in the store. This little old lady came over and started giving them hell. Then they left. We all left, and as we're leaving, everybody's getting back into their various horse and buggy things and motorhome things, and this was a huge gypsy caravan, and the whole clan went at once. We're talking 400 or 500 people. The whole clan went to the store at once. This little old lady comes out. She bought it all, and she gave it to me, and they didn't take it away. I'm surprised they didn't. Like I said, I still have it. They did not take the doll away, but they were so pissed, and they wouldn't let me have it. We went home, and they put it up on a shelf where I couldn't reach it. And it was just it. It's here. You ain't touching it. I mean, their whole thing about Barbie was, look at her. This is evil. This is the epitome of massive evil. And then later, Barbara, Palmer Tell's wife, she cut the head off the doll. So the doll now, I still have it. Again, I still have it all these years later. But her head's been cut off. So I have the doll and her head. When people hear the stuff that my uncles are doing today, like what they're doing right now at Washington, D.C., and they're like, how are these people this crazy? And I'm like, you don't realize what life with these men are like. When you look at what life with these men are like, you start to see why they think it's okay to go to Washington, D.C. and kill some politician, because they think they're God. I mean, they really think they're God. They think they are above the government. They call themselves sovereign citizens. They claim they are a sovereign nation, that they don't have to go by anything that America says. So many Americans look at what is going on. You watch people who are talking about what is happening in Washington, D.C., and they're like, these people are crazy, and they're pointing out, they're running around in loincloths and furs and horns and spears, and this is gypsy culture. You are seeing gypsy culture, and gypsies don't. This is what they're like. And gypsies are so rarely seen. That's the thing. They so rarely come out in public at all. And so when something like this happens, and a whole group of them join up, and that's the thing, people are looking at it and they're like, Trump supporters are doing this, and it's not Trump supporters. It's really not. You need to really look at these people. They have infiltrated Trump supporters. They just hate government. They don't care. Government is evil according to them. They don't care one way or the other. These aren't Republicans attacking because that's what Republicans do. They aren't Republicans. They don't care. They hate America. They're going to attack no matter what. People aren't thinking that because they're seeing these people at Trump rallies, and they're like, oh, they're Republicans. Look, they're rallying with the Trump people. They're not actually what they're claiming they are. They're crazy. David's insane. And he got worse when Brucey died, which just happened. The whole clan's on a warpath because they classified Brucey as the leader. He took over when Grandpa died. He's the leader of the clan, and he died. And they've gone nuts because they didn't plan on him dying. There's no replacement. They don't know what to do. They don't have another king lined up to replace him. The king of the gypsies is dead, and they don't know how to deal with it. They weren't prepared for this. They don't know how to exist without this leader. And that's a major problem with gypsy culture. That is a huge problem with gypsy culture, because you will have one man who just takes over everything, and he lets nobody do anything. Nobody. The lesser men have to get permission to do anything. Nobody has any money because this one man takes all the finances. If you go out and get a job, you're required to give all your money to him. Nobody has anything. Nobody's allowed to own anything. Nobody's allowed to keep their own money. It all goes to this guy because he is the king. And now that guy is dead, and they didn't have a replacement lined up because it happened so fast. They don't know how to deal with it. And the fact that he died from COVID-19, they're on a warpath because they believe the government has made COVID-19. They believe the government put COVID-19 out there to kill minority races. Well, who's more of a minority race than gypsies? And so that's what's going on. And these stupid idiots on the news reports are going, oh, look, yeah, no, these people, they're crazy Trump supporters. No, they're not crazy Trump supporters. This is damn fucking Heaven's Gate. You're dealing with Heaven's Gate, and their leader just died, and they're gypsies who are merely really angry. And because I have to be related to them, I have DNA all of a sudden. Well, the police and FBI are trying to catch them. How do we catch gypsies? We don't know how to catch gypsies. Gypsies are crazy. They run around and do all this crazy stuff like wild rampage, and we don't know what to do. Yeah. They do run around like wild, crazy, lawless cavemen. Yeah, you are going to have a hard time catching them. It's really hard to catch gypsies. It's really hard to stop them. That is a stereotype, but it's a stereotype because it's true. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I mean, the police show up and they're, well, you're the queen of the gypsies. Well, you don't know what the queen of the gypsies means. It's not a royalty thing. It means I'm a priestess. It means I bless babies and I do exorcisms on houses that are supposedly haunted, even though I don't believe in haunted houses. It's the equivalent of me being the same thing as a Catholic nun in the Catholic Church. And the police and FBI show up and they're trying, well, you're the queen of the gypsies, you should know. No, I don't know. They haven't listened to me in decades. They started following the Heaven's Gate crazy lunacy. They don't believe the old gypsy religions anymore. I left them for a reason. I don't want them in my life. So I don't like it when the police are showing up. I mean, I like it that they're trying to stop them, but I don't like it that they're showing up and asking me because I don't know. It's been 30 years since I last seen any of these people face to face and talked with them. I don't know. When they killed all those people in California, I haven't had contact with them since then. Not since the big Heaven's Gate thing with the Kool-Aid. I haven't had contact with them since then. The only time I know anything that they're doing is like the other day when they were in my driveway chanting God King Trump. I was asleep. I woke up. I wake up, and I'm like, what is that noise? And I look out the window, and there's a bunch of David's crew out there chanting God King Trump, God King Trump, God King Trump. And I'm like, why are they in my driveway? What are they chanting God King Trump for? I never did find out. They finally left. I didn't go out there. And when you saw, I started streaming. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stream. I'm going to ignore them. They finally left. So I don't know why they were here. I don't know why they were chanting God King Trump. I want nothing to do with David's crew at all. I have my own life. And I got police knocking at the door. Well, one of your uncles is doing something again. Oh, whippy. What a surprise. It's actually been 24 hours since the last time a police was at the door telling me that. I left the clan for a reason. I don't want to be around them. Why? Why? Okay. Is it time to eat? What time is it? 7:48 a.m. Wow. I haven't gone to bed yet. It's time to get up. Yeah, fish have gone to bed. I should have known it's time to go to bed. It's that time to this morning. Oh. I need to try to go to bed. Even though it's now time to get up. Probably won't do any good, though. I don't seem to be able to sleep. I'm too tensed up right now. I can't relax. I'm not able to relax enough to sleep. The fish are in opposite caves from each other. I can't tell which one's which. I see the tip of their tail sticking out. I see just the very tip of their tail sticking out of the cave. Their tails are different. If I was closer to them, I could tell them apart. I can't see far enough away. The tank's too far away for me to tell. I could do that. I have a gigantic fish tank I was in the middle of setting up when the police and FBI and everybody all showed up. The fish tank's got a crack in it. We had to get a new fish tank. But I got one that's twice as big. And now we have to take out everything, all the furniture and shelving and stuff has to all come out. And this big thing has to come out and go there. And that's what I was doing. I was in the middle of moving everything, and then there's a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and okay, there's police here. What's going on? Oh, yippee! Police and FBI. Great. What happened? Oh, guess what? Your uncle's. Okay. Okay. Again. What else would it be? Never anything else. Do you realize I haven't had a visitor in years that wasn't either a police officer, an FBI agent, or one of the idiots that my uncles have for fans from MUFON or something. Stephen King fans and MUFON fans show up. How stressful that is. It's been decades since the last time I had a person who was an actual somebody like a friend or something stop by and talk to me. No, it's just steady line. Police officer, FBI agent, crazy MUFON people that my uncle sent over, more police officers, more FBI agents, more crazy MUFON people that my uncle sent over. And people wonder, why don't you want to be around people? Oh, I don't know. I'm getting sick of people. I want to be a hermit now. Just live in a cave somewhere where nobody can find me, so nobody can bother me, so I can finally have some peace and quiet for the first time in my life. That would be nice. Great, the text is starting again. Bastards. The text started in. That was the text coming in again. It would be nice to have a single solitary person in my life who I could talk to. That would be nice. I wouldn't have that. Crazy uncles causing trouble constantly, non-stop, all the time. Interrupted by police officers. Trying to find said crazy uncles and trying to stop said crazy idiotic stuff that they're doing because, oh, they're breaking federal laws again. But it doesn't stop. It's every week something damn else. I need a vacation from my idiot uncles and the police trying to find them. That would be nice to have just 1 week in my life, at some point in my life, where my uncles and the police don't show up because my uncles are doing something and the police are trying to find them. It is so impossible to do anything because of this. Everything I do gets constantly disrupted. I mean, I can't even put a house on my land. I blew it up with a bomb. So I put another house to replace it. What did I do? I drove over it with a backhoe. Put up another house. Another backhoe. Same backhoe. Another house with a backhoe on it. That backhoe has driven over 3 houses on my land at that exact same spot now. Why? Family over everything. Family over all. How is that family over everything, family over all? How is blowing up my house with a bomb family over everything, family over all? Oh, you left a clan. We must blow up your house. I almost died in that fucking bomb. Great family. What the hell do they think family is? Fucking family over everything, family over all. That's our answer for everything. I blew up Walmart over there. Family over everything, family over all. What? Oh yeah, family member worked at that Walmart. So? Do they know what family over everything, family over all means? It doesn't mean run around killing everybody in your family. What the hell are you doing? I need to turn the phone off so the text stopped coming in, except the police tell me to leave the phone on in case we need to call you again. And the FBI, leave the phone on, we're going to need to call you again. Of course you are. You always need to call me again. My uncles never stop doing stuff. Okay. Are you done? Can I pick you up? Like a cat. That's what we need. You want to sing? Oh, we're going to sing? Alright. I wrestled. After he unplugged half the computer and jumped up there and then showed up, he must have gone tattered around things. The blanket's coming down, isn't it? Yes, it is. Dad grew up in Canton. Canton, Maine, Canton, Maine. Why is that isolated? Once you leave the road, you have to hike up in for about 4 hours before you get up in there. Who knows what that was? That was before Heaven's Gate. Grandpa hadn't met George Applewhite yet then. He met George Applewhite on some retreat thing in Rocky Mountains. I think it was in Utah. I don't know. That's when they all went nuts. That was like 1973-ish, around that time period. Went to some. It was supposed to be like a religious retreat hiking thing, and it was led by George Applewhite. He thought it was the greatest thing he ever found. Started going back up there over and over again. That was the original Heaven's Gate. The ones that killed themselves in California. That was George Applewhite. Oh, Grandpa practically worshipped him. He thought he was the greatest thing. He just kept going back. And they convinced Brucey to go up there with him. Brucey just fell in love with the whole Heaven's Gate, God is an alien thing. And Bobby started going up in there with him. He came back, he claimed he reached enlightenment. I don't know what that thing was. I never went up there. That was not something I'd ever seen. But everybody that went up there, it was like they came back different. It was almost like someone had drugged them, and while they were drugged, hypnotized them and convinced them to believe this really wild thing, and then they came back, and they were so strange. Everybody that went to see George Applewhite at that retreat, they were so strange when they came back. And then the new Heaven's Gate rose up after George Applewhite died. He died in the whole California stuff as well. And that was Uncle Bruce. He's the one that did that. Grammy died, which was his mother. And then Grandpa died, which was his father. And he had a really hard time dealing with it. And he had this Heaven's Gate stuff, because he had gone to California. He was going to kill himself with everybody else. He was on his way to do that. Him and Bobby both. They were on their way to that. And the plane, there was a storm, and the plane stopped in Colorado, and they got snowed in, and the airport wouldn't let any more planes out, so they got there a day late. They got there the day after Comet Hale-Bopp had gone over. So they didn't get to kill themselves with Kool-Aid like everybody else had done under the shadow of Hale-Bopp. And that, when he came back after that, he was so mad that everybody had died without him and he got left behind. He was in a rage that had happened. And that was the first time we realized what Heaven's Gate was. Like I said, we didn't listen to it. It was just, it was like a lot of the women and a lot of the kids were like, yeah, the men are doing their thing. So a lot of us didn't pay attention. And it wasn't until everybody killed themselves that everybody was like, ooh, okay, yeah. There's more going on here. Never drink Kool-Aid again. I have a massive phobia of Kool-Aid now. People have noticed that when I drink, I will only drink stuff that's in sealed up. I won't drink like water from the tap. I won't drink out of a cup. Nobody ever sees me drink out of a cup. I'm always drinking out of a bottle and a thing. And if it like sits out overnight or just sits here for a few minutes and I leave the room and I've been away from it, I'll throw it out even if it's not empty. A lot of people have noticed me do that because it's kind of extreme how much I do it, and people have asked about it, and I'm like, yeah, side effect of Heaven's Gate. I have a massive phobia of drinking anything that anybody might have touched, because half the people who died didn't know the Kool-Aid had been poisoned. That's why it's called a murder/suicide, because they had a hard time trying to figure out which ones killed themselves and which ones were drinking this stuff not knowing what was in it. That was the situation. Some of them knew, and most of them didn't. And the rest of us who were in this group, but we were born and raised in the group, we didn't join the group, and we started realizing what was going on. We really wanted out. A lot. And me leaving the clan happened less than a month after the people all got killed in California. Rask! Another cat to hug. Rascal's here. But everybody thought Heaven's Gate died down after that. You know, there was almost everybody who didn't kill themselves and realized these people are kind of crazy. Most of them left. There was a mass dissension. Almost everybody left. And for a while, everybody thought Heaven's Gate was dead and just gone. It was a crazy UFO cult. They all killed themselves, and now they don't exist. Except there were over 200 members, and only 39 people died. There was a huge amount of people in comparison to how many died that were still around, and not all of them left. The children of the adults, a lot of them didn't leave. The adults were still members. The children of the adults, which I was one of that group, the children of the adults, they were like, we want out of this. Our parents are insane. Our uncles are insane. Our aunts are insane. We want out. And so the kids got out. But the adults were still there. And then they had more kids after that who they raised into it. And that's the group that is now running Heaven's Gate. Brucey brought it back after Grammy died, which was his mother, and then Grandpa died, which was his father. He had some type of a psychotic breakdown when Grammy died. He took her body. The coroner arrived, and they had a funeral. They had a what do you call it? They had a hearse there, and they went to take her body to the morgue, and Brucey wouldn't let him. He said, "No, she's not dead." He picked her up out of bed. She'd been dead like 3 or 4 hours. He picked her up out of bed, put her in his car, and drove off. And so there ended up being this police chase because he stole his mother's dead body and drove off with it when the coroner was trying to put it in the hearse. He took her up to Parsonsfield and drove her around on all these back streets up there, and the police had a really hard time finding him. They finally found him, got him back, got the body back. And then David showed up. There was this huge fight. David's clan was fighting, and Brucey's clan was fighting with each other. And they all started pulling out guns and shooting at each other. And this happened on Bacon Street in Biddeford. And that's what you hear people, if you live in Maine, you always hear people talk about the Bacon Street Massacre. That was the Bacon Street Massacre. Grammy had died, and they were fighting because Brucey refused to believe she was dead. And David's like, no, she's dead. You've got to let her be buried. And so they started shooting at each other. And they ended up killing some guy that was just a random guy walking on the sidewalk that happened to get hit by a stray bullet while the crazy people were shooting at each other. So then one of them went to prison, and he just got released from prison last year. It's been 20 years? He got 20 years in prison, and he was just released last year, so it's been 20 years since that happened. That was the Bacon Street Massacre. Again, David's group. Always. They always have got their guns, and that's always their answer to everything. You don't agree with us, we'll pull our guns out and start shooting. And it's like, why? Why do you have guns? I hate guns. I don't want guns near me. Brucey found the old Heaven's Gate website, and he kept it running. He got it. He bought the server or something. I can't remember who he did. He somehow he ended up owning the Heaven's Gate website, and he kept it running. They started getting more and more followers. It came back. And now instead of chasing Comet Hale-Bopp, now they're chasing Comet Wormwood. Which, it's like, out, it's not here yet, and it's probably not going to be here for another couple hundred years. I can't remember where it is. It's one of those comets that only comes through like every 400 years or something, so it's going to be a long time before it gets here. Everybody who is waiting for it that is alive now is going to be long dead before this comet gets here. But they found another comet, and that's the one they're waiting for, Comet Wormwood. But then he died. And we see the result of that January 6th, because they all went nuts and decided, oh, let's go down there. There's a big Trump rally. Let's go to the big Trump rally and be crazy. Well, the Trump people and everybody was like, it's the Trump supporters, and everybody did think it was Trump supporters. And now I have to deal with police and FBI again. It makes me just want to board up the door and all the windows and never answer the door to anybody or anything ever again. Because it doesn't matter who knocks on the door. It's always going to be either the police looking for my uncles, the FBI looking for my uncles, or crazy fans of my uncles looking for my uncles. It's always a verse. Nobody else ever stops by. Nobody. It's very frustrating. We didn't get much gameplay done, did we? That's actually not good. The fact that I am so keyed up right now, I can't even play the game. There's an extreme overload of panic attack happening here if I can't even play the game. There's a big spider on the ceiling. No way I can reach it. That ceiling's what? 10, 12 feet high. This is big. If I can see him and it looks really big from here, that thing must be huge. Because I'm almost blind. I can't see good. It's big enough that I can see it, and the ceiling's about 12 feet tall. It is a tall ceiling here. And it's all the way over there in the corner. So it's not only 12 feet up, but it's all the way over there, which is what? That's 10 feet? No, that's 6 feet. Turn that around, that would be, yeah, about 7 feet, I think. Hi, Rask. You going through again? You know what, it's almost time for your medicine, ain't it? 8:15 a.m. Yes, it's time for your medicine in an hour. I haven't eaten yet. Since yesterday. It's now another day. And I still haven't yet gone to bed. I'm heading on, what, 48 hours without sleep, except for that little nap that I had there in between, and no food. I need to go eat. That's what I need to do. Maybe if I eat some. The problem is I'm like, because it's all nerves and muscles that are all tense, my stomach is also tense. And I can't eat. I feel like if I try to eat, I'm just going to vomit it all back up. But I also feel like if I eat, maybe that'll help me sleep. I don't know. Yeah. I think I should go cook and try to eat. By the time I get done cooking, it'll be time for Rascal's medicine. Give Rascal his medicine. Maybe by then, somehow I will have relaxed enough to sleep. If not, I may be back on again in a few hours. This may just turn into 24 hours of me having a stream all day. If you send this tank up too. Fish are gone to bed. It's daytime. They've gone to bed. I'm gonna go try and cook and see if I eat, if that will help me sleep. So if I can't get to sleep, I'll probably be back on later.